Hey folks, welcome to Greg's Golf Shack. It's morning, having my coffee. Sometimes before I get ready for work, I like to come down and work on some of the sim golf courses that I'm designing. So I thought I'd show you how I go about designing a hole. So this is a course I've already started, and I've got the back nine done, I'm doing the front nine, and it is a fall, like an autumn theme. There's lots of water. And what I do when I get started with a golf course is I start with a random environment. Put lots of hills, lots of trees, lots of everything, just random. And then I go along and I map out a few holes, like figure out general tee position, where that tee shot will land and where the green might be. So you can see I just have a bunch of little lines for these holes out in the wilderness. And I kind of scope the landscape to see what kind of hole would I like to fit into that landscape. So rather than start from scratch and build all the land to form a golf hole, I like to observe the landscape and see how a cool golf hole would fit in there. So we're going to come up to number 4 here, and we're going to start designing with some of my approaches. Now I wanted to do this one because it's really probably one of the tougher holes on the course. I want to demonstrate how when it comes to designing a golf hole, whether in reality or in simulators, we want to be an advocate for the player. I teach video game art and design at college, and some of the instincts when creating a game is to make it really, really hard. And as designers, we know the solutions, we know the best approaches, and it's easy to forget the opinions or the perspectives of someone coming in who's never seen that game or that hole before, and it could be really challenging for them. So we want to make it a pleasing experience. You can have challenge, but you also have to have a little bit of grace in there. You need to give them opportunities for safety and for fun. So let's look at this hole here. It's a downhill. Now these tee boxes are just randomly placed here when I put these. So I'm going to move these tee boxes, level out this uphill tee box thing. We go from junior tee box all the way up to pro. So I'll probably be moving that junior tee box way up once we get there. But this is the landscape as it began, and I have to look at this and think, what kind of hole do I want to make out of this? So we have a nice downhill approach. I like this valley here. I might narrow it out a little bit, but we're going to make this a forced carry. I'm going to make this a valley that feels a little bit swampy. We'll fill it with all kinds of ferns and grass and things like this. So you have to kind of carry this up into this fairway section here. And we can see we have a nice landing zone here. I really love these rolling hills here. So even though I'll level it out to be like a fairway, I do want this sort of sloping left and right feel. I love the way that looks, the rolling landscape on a fairway. If we go back to a previous hole here, let's see, where's number 3? Here's number 3. You can kind of see how I have these little hills left and right to make it feel, well, just a little bit more like a voluptuous golf course. Okay, so I'm going to maintain some of those slopes here. Green is over across that water, forced approach. We have this big mound here. I mean, obviously that's not going to be good. I'm going to have to level that out. And I like to kind of imagine, could this be done with just like a bulldozer? Could we move the earth and end up with a good hole without having to really reconstruct the landscape? So I like the idea of this little corner. I'm probably going to keep a little bit of a berm here, maybe put a couple of bunkers on there, not as a hazard, but as a safety net, because if you go long, you're going to be in the water. I'll pull down this hill a little bit over here so we have a nice level approach across to this green. I think I'll probably put a bunker down in this low area, a nice shapely bunker. That one will serve as a hazard for anybody who thinks they're going to cut the corner a little bit and shorten the hole. As we get across here, let's see, I like to imagine the shape based in this environment already. So I'm seeing a low area over here. That's going to be a nice little runoff. And I like to imagine, even though we don't have to worry about drainage and all that kind of stuff in a simulator environment, I want it to reflect somewhat of real world because we make course management decisions based on that kind of stuff. So, this looks like a lower area that drains out to the water. That's pretty cool. I don't mind having this low little collection area here. I'm seeing another little flat low area over here. I'll probably pop a bunker on this side of the green. As far as the green goes, I'm going to have to level it off, but I see a multi-tiered green, maybe a high back area, a lower front area. I'm seeing a nice little shape, like a comma shape here, kind of like that. That would be our green. And I really like this hill in the background. We'll make that, we might even carry a little bit of fairway or light rough up that hill. So because this is a tough approach over the water, people can take a long club into the hill, have it roll back onto the green. So, and then we'll have a nice big section of fairway out here so you can land it short. So that's kind of what we're looking at. Let's start with this green area. I kind of like it. Let's shape it a little bit. I'm going to just level out the back area of the green here a little bit. We'll bring down the front a little so it's multi-tiered. And some of the shaping will be easier once I actually put the green texture in. So let's do that and then we can shape it more. So let's start with the green. I'm going to create a surface of the green. I always like to make my own, so I use a spline to shape it so I can match it to the environment. So, all right, let's start with a little rounder area over here. We can move that flag so we're not stuck with that flag position. Oh, try it like this. We'll smooth it. We'll just give it a little bit of a rough surface around the other side. There we go. Okay. Look, it's a long green, so we have lots to work with. Let's just smooth it out a little bit. So I'm going to flatten this area over here. I don't mind that it's a little bit higher because we would like it multi-tiered. So let me try and bring this down. This is actually already shaping up to be a nice tier. Let's lower it a little bit. Now I'll get into really shaping the green once I'm figuring out the flag positions. Pull this section up a little bit down here. See? Now it's looking a little bit like more of a subtle break there. And then we want to maybe level out the fairway just a bit. All right, so we can see this is shaping nicely. Okay. So I'll come back to shaping a lot of the green a little bit after, but you can see we have a nice runoff area there. We're not going to make it that drastic, but look at this mound. I want to accentuate that mound. I love mounds on a golf course. Look at that. See? And all we're doing is exaggerating the landscape that's existing already. Looks like we could do another mound over here that's sort of natural. Nice. Okay, so we've got the green. We've got our nice approach there. Let's get back and do this fairway section because, I like to start with shaping. So I'm not just going to draw a fairway in. I'd like to shape the landscape and then match the fairway to it. So let's bring down this slope a bit so we have an approach that we can work with. I'm going to bring it down just subtly in sections here. Not bad. I don't want that to necessarily be too big of a valley. But you see, if this was real life, we'd be taking some of this hill and filling in some of the landscape. So we got places to put the dirt. It just adds to, you don't have to do that when you're designing a sim course, but I like to add to that realism and that decision making of design. Because I would love to design a real golf course. That would be amazing. Okay. I'm going to take off a little bit more of this hill because I want you to be able to see some of that lake the trouble if you go long. Let's just leave it like that. Again, I like this little berm. I might pull it up a little bit on this side. We've got that shape. I'm going to put a couple of bunkers in there. Let me pull up this hill a little bit, just so it's not crazy valley if you miss down there. It's still below the fairway. Now, let me pop a bunker in there. I'm just going to use one of the brushes just to do this quick. Let's find a fun shaped bunker for that area. Oh, let's try this guy here. Oh yeah. If I turn it around the other way. Oh yeah, I like it. Let's put it right there. Boom. Now bunkers, I like to have a little bit of a backstop in bunkers, so we'll pull this up a little bit on the other side. All right, we'll put a mound just right there because it looks like we should have one. You see how it can kind of catch the stray shot a little bit more. And let's do the same thing with this side here. Just a little bit of a catching style bunker. All right, I'll come back to shaping that. Let's come back to our little valley here. It could be a little bit too deep. I don't mind it. Let's just start leveling this out a little bit. I don't mind this natural mound over here, but I don't want to make it too much of a hill to start. So let's bring this down. Trying to take out some of the steep valleys. You can still lose your ball down there. We can always add them in after, but just trying to level it slightly. Keep some of that natural contour if we can. Now it's already looking a little flat, but we can start adding some cool things like nice big mound right here. We're going to do the same thing on the other side. Now these are like artificial design mounds, like they'd be created, just like you see on some golf courses. I like them. And it helps to line the holes. So that's already looking pretty cool. Let's add the fairway in. All right, we want a nice landing area. Yeah, we'll shape some of this. All right. Smooth that edge. I'm just going to put a thin layer of rough around it for now. So, that fairway is looking quite big and generous now. So I might start tightening it a little bit. So I'm going to bring these in a little bit more. All right, it's looking pretty good. Now you can see I have to do some shaping here. Now I get finicky. A lot of people would just like draw this out quickly and be done with it. I play with it for a while and then I test it out. I take it out in the studio, play it, see how it feels to play. Let's put in some of those slopes that I like. So we got one there. Because we have the mound over here, I'm going to pull that up. It just creates a little bit unpredictability where your ball lands. There we go. And sometimes you got to go a little bit even more dramatic. It just feels cool. All right. Now, I don't want this running off the fairway over here, so I might steepen up the mound on this bunker and pull up this side of the fairway slightly. So it kind of feeds into the fairway rather than into the rough if you go down that side. So just leveling it off slightly. Let's put some bunkers in. We got one, and make some sister bunkers kind of thing, like this. Let's go back to sculpting this land, see what we can do. I want to pull this up a little bit so it catches balls. All right, kind of cool, but not too punishing. All right, so you can kind of see how this is starting to take shape of a nice golf hole. Now I'm not going to do any like aesthetics at this point, like rocks and purposefully placed trees and all that kind of stuff. I'm just using what's in the environment so far. And this is looking pretty cool. And before I add the rough around here and shape it even more, I really like to dial in the shape of the fairway. So I'm going to keep shaping these a little bit. That's better. Okay, let's put some rough in here. And I don't want it to be too wide here, so I'm just going to follow along the fairway line. And these bunkers, I'd like to incorporate it. So I'm going to swoop the rough out here a little bit and start to circle these bunkers. All right, let's see how that looks. Not too bad. You know, I can adjust some of this a little bit, but I really like some of those edges. I like how this rough grass looks around those mounds. It's really starting to look kind of cool. Looking pretty good so far. I'm going to try and take care of maybe the tee box area here. First, let me just move the tee boxes and then I'll level it out. So let's pop in here the junior tee box. Let's stick it up here on the side of the hill. All right, and we'll move the front tees. We'll move them up a fair bit here under the tree. Nice. These white tees, let's move them to the crest of the hill here. The goal is to give people choices about what club to hit off the tee. You don't necessarily want to always take driver, and this is course management practices that you can apply to your regular round of golf. All right, we'll put the blue tees here. Black tees, we'll leave them just where they are. It is a nice view, but let's just level it off a little bit. Now I'm going to raise up those tee boxes slightly, each of them. Raise them up a little, just to feel like a bit of an elevated tee box. Beauty. Okay, let's pop over to the green area now. I'll come back and adjust this cliff edge later. I'm going to put a bunker in first. What kind of bunker shape do we have here? Create a surface, a bunker. I think it's looking like this kind of shape in here, with the wide part there. See how that kind of fits in there nicely like that? See what that looks like. Oh, sculpt a little bit around that. Do a little mound here. All right, we've got a bunker. I really like this little runoff area here. Let's put a mound in the back just to sort of separate that runoff area. Not too big of a mound. All right, let's do a little fairway shaping. I'm just going to do the front section of the fairway first. So not too bad. You can see how picky I get. I want that to line up nice and smooth. Collection area, should we do a little fairway down there? I think so. And we just want to bring it like just a little dip. Cool. Okay. That's a tough little collection area there. We'll level some of this out. too bad. Cool. Let me select this and give it a little rough exterior. Let's do, I want to alter the shape of the screen just a little bit. Let's add a little bit of rough around this thing. Create surface rough. We're going to go with a spline. I'm going to start on this side of the mound. That is kind of a nice green complex there, isn't it? Look at that. I like it. All right, I had to take a little break there to go to work. This is the next morning, and I'd like to get our pin positions in place. Now, I acknowledge this is kind of a novelty hole. It's still kind of cool, but this carry over the water, you might not see too much of that kind of shot on a real golf course, but hey, this is a simulator, this is fun. So what I'd like to do is level out areas of the green for 4 pins. And I like it to be nice and flat around the pins. Doesn't mean there can't be break on the green, but putting on a simulator is a little bit unique. A lot of people will just put it on 6-foot gimmies, some will put it on green gimmies. So I want to make it so you can putt reasonably. So we're going to look at these little lines here. We can see these lines kind of represent if you poured water on it, the direction of water. These are the breaks where the ball would roll. So I have a general flat area on that upper tier. We have a couple of nice breaks that I will use in here. So pin position 1, let's put it up at the back here. Actually, I'll just pull it down in the middle a little bit and see if we can't get a little flat section. I still want that to be downhill so a long ball could roll down to the pins. Let's just see what happens if I flatten an area here, pull it down a couple inches. Try to level a little bit. This is where you got to be really delicate with some of your changes. So you can see I'm getting an area where the grid flattens out a little bit. So that's kind of neat. I'm going to put pin position 1 right over there. I'm going to flatten an area over on this side too, which is a little more dangerous because you're closer to the to that collection area. So we'll try and flatten a little area. Okay, there we go. Kind of another level spot there. Now, where do we want our other flags? Put them one in a nice little bowl here. This will be the hole out one that we'd like to get. So let's sculpt this land a little bit here. It's not giving me any more of the grid. Sometimes if I move a flag there, we'll put position 2 there. So let me add a pin. It'll help us see a little bit. It's already kind of a bowl there. Quite nice. Pretty cool. We'll just flatten that area out a little bit. I'll check that pin again in a minute. I think it drops off a little bit at the front, so we'll push this up a little bit here. All right, and we'll try another pin right there. We'll put pin 3 back here. Where was that nice little flat spot right there? And pin 4 we'll put over on this side here. Let's flatten that a little bit more. All right, pretty undulating green. This is the most undulating green actually on this course I've been designing. So pretty cool. Now, of course, I will place some more trees strategically, rocks, different things, come back on the tee boxes, put benches and cart paths and flowers and all these kind of things. But before I really add the decor, it's important to test the hole out, see if you need any kind of changes. So for now, I think the design of the hole is good. I'm going to add all kinds of ferns and everything down in this valley, but I think we should test it out on the sim, see how it works. So let's check it out. All right, we're here in the sim. Let's give it a try. Let's do a little flyover first, just to have a look at it. So not too bad.
I'm thinking I'm going to take a 5 wood or something. I'm playing from the white tees in this little test, the middle set of tees, and I did put it on the hole position 1, that back tier one, the first one we started with. So I'm going to start with a 5 wood, see where that takes us. Now it is downhill, so I'm going to play it a little bit to the right. Now I could try and take driver out to that peak there. Let's just see what a 5 wood does with the downhill approach. Let's try it. Again, it's nice to have decisions and give people choices based on their comfort and the risk they'd like to take. Not bad. A little draw in there. Oh, I like it. See, I'm glad I didn't take any more club. It would have been nice if it fed over towards the cliff, but I've got a nice approach there. Pretty good hit. Let's see what we got left. 154, 14 feet down. So that's probably playing 145-ish. Let's see. Okay, I don't want to come up short because of that. It's on a back tier, and going long we know is a little bit safe. So I'm going to take my 145, 150 club, and I'm going to try an 8-iron. Well, is it going to get up enough? Did I get it enough? Get in gimme zone. Oh, I think that's in the gimme zone, so we won't be testing putting. 7 feet. Oh no, I gotta putt it. We'll see how flat the putt is. There's a tad of break, but not much. It's pretty flat. So you can see there's breakout on the green, but around the pin, it's relatively flat. So it's a little bit easier to putt on a sim. All right. In the hole, birdie. It was pretty fun. I've got more holes to design. This is kind of my approach of how I design holes, how I design courses. I like to make them fun for people, add some challenge, but also give them some options. And I like to take that approach where I use the landscape that's provided and try to sculpt a golf course out of the land rather than the other way around. I don't know if anyone's interested in this kind of video, but I thought, hey, I'll post it and see, if anybody is. So thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe to the channel, and we'll see you next time on Greg's Golf Shack.